Israeli soldiers headed home this morning. Their pullout of Gaza is complete.
Peace and love.
But in case that peace doesn't hold, combat troops remain perched on the border, ready to strike should Hamas pull the trigger again. Hamas rockets were answered with Israeli airstrikes right up until the moment the ceasefire came into effect. Government spokesman Mark Regev said Israel's forces will be keeping a close eye out.
We'll be ready for any development, but Israel will honor the ceasefire and will be watching to see if Hamas does too.
Israel has announced they want to extend the current ceasefire in their battle against Hamas. The terrorists in Gaza, however, initially indicated they want nothing of it until Israel accedes to more of their demands. The world continues to watch and wait for a solution, but let us be honest. Is there truly a solution here that both sides would or could ever agree on? And for that matter, there are those who believe Israel has no moral or religious right to even be involved in this conflict. Let's welcome back to MidPoint from Congregation Solel in Chicago, Illinois. He is one of the country's youngest rabbis in the Reform movement. Rabbi Evan Moffic joins us. Rabbi Moffic, thanks for being here.
Nice to see you again.
And from the group Neto Ricarta International, Jews United Against Zionism, Rabbi Yisroel David Weiss joins us. Rabbi Weiss, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Rabbi Weiss, let me begin with you. You are not one who falls in favor of what Israel is doing, and you are the person I alluded to a little while ago that feels and believes very strongly that Israel does not have the right to do what they are doing right now in going after Hamas and protecting themselves in Israel. Would you please elucidate on that?
Well, with the help of the Almighty, I pray to the Almighty to bestow upon me His truth, His wisdom, that I may be worthy of conveying His message. Firstly, you referred to identified the other individual. I'm sorry I missed the name, but my name is Rabbi Weiss. I'm from Orthodox religious Jewry, and therefore I'm representing not any opinion of my own, but I am representing the view of Torah, true Judaism. That is the basics of the religion Judaism. That is that Judaism is subservience to God, and the transformation to a concept of nationalism, which is Zionism, is strange and totally forbidden according to our Torah. We are to serve God, to keep the Torah. We are forbidden since the destruction of the temple 2,000 years ago to have even 1 inch of Jewish sovereignty. So the concept of creating a state was opposed by all the leading rabbinical authorities at the time of its inception around 100 odd years ago. And to top that all, the fact that they're making their state in an inhabited land in Palestine just compounds this terrible crime against God thousandfold, because you're not allowed to steal and you're not allowed to kill as the basics of the Torah. And Zionism is an occupation of another people. We cry and suffer and feel the suffering of the Palestinian people. We're humiliated because our identity of Judaism is hijacked once again. When they made other forms of Judaism called Reform, Conservative, all these are false representatives of our religion, and now Zionism has done it again.
Okay,
and therefore we stand
I'm going to stop you there for a moment. You made a good point. Let me now go right ahead. Rabbi Moffic, if you would, please respond.
Well, I respect Rabbi Weiss and his background in Neto Carta, but what he just said could have easily been said by the Ayatollah of Iran. Zionism is an authentic response of the Jewish people to its history. The entire Torah is a journey to the Promised Land, and without Israel, there would be no Jewish people. So to say that Israel is not a part of Torah true Judaism is like saying radical Islam is a representative of Baha'i. I mean, it's just so out of touch with normal Jewish life that it just seems outrageous to even hear it.
Rabbi Weiss, is it then out of touch with normal Jewish life and what Jewish life has become here in the 21st century?
Well, emotions is the way they pitch all these different issues, whether it be reform or Zionism. But I mean, how ridiculous can that be? Judaism is a religion. It's the Bible, the Torah, the 613 commandments. Any other form or any other type of transformation or whatever is alien and has nothing. Call it what you want, but please leave my identity alone. Leave our religion alone. And how dare they use my religion and claim because that it's leading up to taking a land or whatever. What are you talking about? Jewish religion is what it is. It's a covenant with God and nothing else, and nobody has a right to touch this religion, to tamper with it in any manner, shape, or form.
Okay, Rabbi Moffic.
There's actually, in the Hebrew Bible, there is no word for religion. The idea of religion as a set of beliefs is a secular idea. Judaism begins as a people. We're the children of Abraham, Bnei Yaakov, the children of Jacob. And the covenant was a covenant based on the land. God makes two promises to Abraham, descendants and land. And so to say that the land is not connected to Judaism is, it boggles the mind.
Rabbi Moffic, I think what Rabbi Weiss will come in here and say also is he will claim that there are many Jews who feel as he does, that simply the Jewish state does not have the right to exist. He will claim, and he has on this show before, said that it is his belief that simply Israel is not or should not be there today.
One can say anything, but the facts prove themselves. I would say probably 99% of the Jewish people support the existence of the land of Israel. The group that Rabbi Weiss represents is an extremely fringe group, even amongst the Orthodox. So I just would respectfully disagree with any idea that Israel is not representative of the entire Jewish people.
Rabbi Weiss, let me come to you now and say, how do we solve what's going on here right now? We've talked about this. We've mentioned religion here. There obviously is a split between the two of you here. You are both Jews here. You are both involved and have family there, have religion that is there. How do we then stop what is going on?
With God's help, first, again, I just want to state clearly the basic theme of Judaism is that we made a covenant, and then it says we were sent into exile, and all the prophets, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, if we're going to sin, when every Jew says in his prayers, because of our sins we were driven from the land, and every Jew says in his prayers that we yearn for the day when the Almighty will bring an end to the exile with his redemption without any human intervention.
Okay, then how do we bring an end to what is happening here? How do we bring an end to what is happening here? Let's focus on this.
Just bear with me a second.
One second briefly, but how do we end what's happening here?
Well, basically, if we will, as a doctor has to prescribe according to the sickness and not according to just giving cortisone, if we understand the root issue, it's because we have created an illegitimate state. It's a rebellion against God. It cannot have success. The solution is to obey God, and then we can have a dismantlement, a peaceful dismantlement of the state. We will be able to live as we've had for hundreds of years, as history attests that we've lived with the Arabs, Muslims, and Christians together in harmony.
So let's make sure I get you exactly right here. You are stating that it is your belief and the belief of your group that the state of Israel needs to be disbanded, and that is the only way to stop what is happening now, correct?
I just feel that it's unfair because he's attacked me and he claimed that we are a fringe group. But let me again, in every religious community, invariably across the world, whether it is in Jerusalem or in New York, the religious share this view that we are forbidden to attempt to leave exile. This is not a fringe group. Our position, what we do, certain of our activities may not be done by others because Zionists falsely claims that we celebrate the death of Jews or things like that. But the issue of not having a state and the issue that we are forbidden to have a state, and that's not Judaism, this is shared across the board, and you can see it in every religious community across the board. The more religious, the more anti-Zionist. Again,
okay.
We wait for the day.
Rabbi Moffic, let me go to you now. Rabbi Moffic, what we have heard now from Rabbi Weiss, how do we take this then? Is there any way to bring these two sides together here and save the state of Israel?
I don't think there's a way to bridge these two different viewpoints. In fact, what Rabbi Weiss is talking about is a debate that has gone on within Zionism for the last 120 years. He's right to say that the early Orthodox were opposed to the Zionist movement, but that changed tremendously, especially after the Holocaust. After we saw the death of 6 million Jews, people realized that a Jewish state needed to exist to assure the survival of the Jewish people. So yes, Judaism lasted 2,000 years without a state, but it was a pretty miserable existence. And I don't think any Jew would want to go back to a time when Jews couldn't defend themselves, when they were at the mercy of Cossacks, of pogroms, of tremendous anti-Semitism. So I think most Jews believe that a state is critical to our survival. So I'm not sure we're ever going to really be able to bridge these philosophical differences, but I think that's okay because I think the vast majority of Jews do know that a state is a part of our heritage, part of our need to survive. And so it's good to have different opinions, but ultimately there's no Judaism without the Jewish people, and there's no Jewish people without Israel.
Gentlemen, unfortunately, we are out of time. I want to thank you both for being very frank in your comments. I hope we get a chance to talk again, and let's hope at least that there is peace in the Middle East for both sides. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ed.
It is an interesting discussion that both rabbis have had before, and we will continue to have here right now as people choose sides. Later on this hour, ground level in Memphis, Tennessee. It's an interesting campaign stop. We've talked about that. These people don't belong in Outland. We'll tell you who does belong in Outland. Adjust your seats, settle in. We're coming back right here on MidPoint, where we question everything.